everybody, I'm Carrie DeBerg. I'm the educator at the Racine Heritage Museum, and I'm super excited today to be here with Debbie Lema. Debbie is a local artist who we just recently came in contact with, and we are featuring her work in our gift shop, and it's so incredibly cool. We wanted to make a video and show you the process and have her talk about her process and how she makes these amazing snowflakes. So I'll back up. First, I just wanted to have you share a little bit about how this even started. What happened that got you started making these?
Well, I actually started out making these snowflake art pieces because I was doing projects with my daughter, who was maybe 7 at the time, and I was trying to get her outside during the winter, just for short little art projects or science projects. And we were doing silly things like freezing t-shirts and smashing them on trees and breaking them and trying to super cool water. And I had seen an article in an old 1980s Popular Mechanics magazine that talked about preserving snowflakes. And I thought, that sounds really cool. And the daughter thought that sounded really cool. And so we tried it, and it didn't work. We just had a slushy mess, and she was so crushed. And because I maybe have oversold it a little. So she was excited about trying it. And she said, "Mom, I'm not doing science projects with you anymore." I was like, "No, I broke the child." And so I wanted to figure out how to do it. So I went out alone in the snow and just kind of kept trying different methods and trying different things. And I'm still always perfecting my technique and my methods, but we eventually were able to come up with a way to fossilize the snowflakes. And that's what they look
cool.
like.
I love it. It's so amazing. So tell us how you do this. So I know you have, I think you said you have a big sheet of black cardboard, and you just sort of let the snow fall, and then you sort of look at it. So
Yes.
kind of go into that a little bit.
Okay. First thing I do is make sure all of my equipment and tools are cold, because if they're not cold, when the snowflake touches them, it will melt.
Sure.
I also have to make myself cold, which means essentially standing outside for a while. That's pretty easy, but I get very dressed up and try to both chill myself and make a barrier between myself and the snow. And then I just stand out in the snow with my trusty black foam board. You can just use cardboard, or I like this because it's dark, so you can see the snowflakes nicely
Sure.
on it. I catch a smattering of snowflakes. And I kind of look through them to see one that is interesting or that I find striking somehow.
Sure.
And then when I find one of those, I take my trusty paintbrush and I will basically, I'm just going to pretend there's one here.
Sure.
Sneak up on the side of it, and there's a weak attraction between the paintbrush bristles and the snowflakes. So if I sneak up just right on it, I can get it to stick to the to the paintbrush, and then I put it on a microscope slide or whatever cold thing I'm attaching it to. And then I will take some cyanoacrylate, glorified super glue, extra pure though, and I apply a little of that to the snowflake, and then I'll take microscope slide cover slip. It's just a smaller piece of glass, and I very carefully lay it over the top, and you make essentially a glue and snowflake sandwich, and then you let that sit for a couple days, up to, maybe up to a week, to cure, and in the end you will have the fossilized snowflake, if all goes well. A lot of things can and do go wrong with this process. If I breathe incorrectly, if the too much glue, too little glue, mitten fuzz,
Right.
My dexterity drops a lot when I have a lot of clothing on.
Sure.
So that's pretty much how it goes.
I love the science of it, that you were talking about how, there's a charge to the paintbrush, and then there's a charge to the snowflake, and, you sort of find out if it's the right charge by kind of putting it by it, and if it goes away, and then if it's not, then you grab a different paintbrush, or?
I do. Sometimes if the snowflake is oppositely charged than the paintbrush bristles, when we'll do a little, I'm going to make a mess, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll do it on this. Be a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so say some snow has fallen on my board. And sometimes if you sneak up on the side of it, like I was talking about, it will jump away or even explode if the charges are opposite.
Right.
And then I can't, obviously I'm chasing this one around and I'm having difficulty getting on there because it's not.
It won't hook on.
It won't hook on.
Sure. I love how it's scientific, but it's also not. Like, it's just, you just see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
And sometimes you scoop it up and sometimes you break them and something.
Oh, and
I
then
got a little one.
You got that one.
And then you just
then
kind
you
of drop it on there.
Super cool.
And you can try.
Okay, let's see if I can get one.
Sometimes what I'll do, if I'm having trouble with the polarity of or the charge of my paintbrushes,
Oh, that one really did jump away. Oh, wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. So it's something to do with the charge when it's kind of on the paper. Yeah, they're actually moving away.
It's a kind of static essentially, but if I'm having trouble with the paintbrush, sometimes I'll have better luck with a skewer.
Okay.
Now, sometimes I'll sand up the tip of it too.
I'm not catching any. I'm not the snow master.
It takes some practice. That one is my favorite tool. Sometimes you just kind of got to go for it and scoop it.
Sure. So tell us what happens next. So you fossilize the snow. So then you got this really cool slide.
Yes.
And then how does it go from this to one of these amazing things?
Basically what happens is I take pictures of them, of the fossils. Because they're permanent, they're not melting. I can hold them in my hand.
Sure.
I can, they're safe. So a lot of times in the summer, instead of gluing snow, what I will do is I'll spend my summer photographing them. I have various equipment that I use for that, macro equipment or little microscopes, and I can then print the pictures and I mount them on these acrylic blocks, polish them up, and there you go. And people are always asking me how I get the different colors. Obviously this is clear.
Right.
I can walk around with my equipment, and if I like this green, for instance, that will just become the background of the.
Right.
Like this one was my copper change dish.
I love that one. That's definitely one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, this is just my Christmas tree lights. This is just the sky. I just held it up to the sky.
That's like a classic snow
it's
picture.
It's just a beautiful sunlight coming
Perfect
through.
winter picture.
And you get the sunlight streaming through these really nicely like that.
And you actually made something. I want you to tell the story about the thing that you took apart to be able to make, that you put onto your phone, because I love this story because we have science, we have art, we have ingenuity. Racine is known as the invention capital of the world, and we just have an inventor right here. It's just so cool.
Well, this was a hack that I learned actually from my husband. So when I started out doing these, I was taking pictures of them to show to my daughter, to prove to her that
it really
that
works.
we figured it out, and to kind of get her re-interested in various science things. And she was looking through the pictures and she said, "Mom, these are really pretty. You should share these with people." But I didn't have proper equipment to really do that well.
Mm-hmm.
I could take pictures with my phone, or I could take pictures. I did have a little toy microscope that was pretty cool, and I could do some interesting things with, but it was limited. The resolution on the cameras, it being a toy, was pretty bad, so I couldn't blow up pictures very big. So what I started to do is you just take a bobby pin that's got a little dent in it, and you tape the bobby pin to the back of your smartphone, and in such a way that it can hold a little tiny lens. Now you get this lens out of a laser pointer from the dollar store. So it essentially costs you $1. You smash the laser pointer up, and inside is this little lens. And you insert that so that the bobby pin is holding it steady right over the lens of your camera, and it works as a macro lens.
That's so cool.
Costs
That's
$1.
just amazing. Like that's actually like one of my favorite parts of this whole story. You know, that you just like you're just making this stuff.
It was
it's awesome.
a very inexpensive ways to start out. You know, it cost me $1. I wasn't using a microscope slides so much in the beginning. I was just using little old glass frames that I got like at Nelson's when they were open.
Yeah, that's cool.
They were inexpensive, or you know, whatever glass or little broken mirror pieces I had. So it was a very inexpensive. You know, the most expensive thing probably was the glue at that point.
Sure.
Now it's the adhesive and to get the pictures on there probably.
Right.
But yeah, it was. It grew, and I have more improved equipment now. But
yeah,
in the beginning, it was just kind of figure out how to do something and just trial and error it to death.
totally. I love it. Yeah.
We'll see.
We're super excited to have these. These are in our museum gift shop. I love that they each have a number. Debbie has little secret pet names for them, which
I knew that
maybe we won't get into all of that, but
that one's named Lumpy.
Lumpy.
Yeah.
Why is it lumpy again?
It just looks like really 3D. When you look at it, it looks like the snowflake is sinking into the
It
background.
really does. Yeah,
And
it does look like it has depth and height.
Yeah, when I was looking at it through the microscope for the first time, I thought it looks really lumpy, so that just stuck.
I love it. So each one has a number, each one is signed. It has the date that the snowfall was, and then the temperature that it was. And so they're all just so, I mean, obviously we know every snowflake is unique and perfect, and I love that about it. And I guess the reason why we were so excited to feature these is because, again, the Racine story is science, it is innovation, and then we have art, and then we literally have history. Like, this is a moment in time that was captured.
That's true.
So it's just everything that we're all about. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
These are essentially environmental footprints, which is why I cataloged them. I tried to keep all the date and temperature. A lot of them have humidity records, and they're all cataloged by date. Just to see, like someday someone might find such information useful. I don't know, but if we throw it away, we won't know.
that's right.
So
Yeah, and that's what we're all about here, and we love that you're kind of on a parallel thing. So really cool. So thank you for coming today and talking to me about this. And we're so excited about this. We definitely want everybody to come in and check these out. These are going to be amazing Christmas gifts. So I hope my family members are not watching, because spoiler alert.
Well, thanks for having me, Carrie. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.